Recording in progress.
Welcome everyone to Winning by Design. Today we're going to talk about the sweet spot in the eye of the storm. I am joined together here with Jennifer. Jennifer, let me be here of yourself. I know you're going to acro, so I got to switch that music off quick enough, which I'm not going to be able to do. But Jennifer, welcome as well. Jennifer is the crew that is assisting me here today. And so, Jennifer, wave. I think we all see you. You're spotlighted. It's all, there you go.
Hello. Glad to be here.
And Jennifer will be answering any questions that people may have in the chat. So feel free to chat away, ask questions, and so on. The chat is always very lively here at Winning by Design, so make sure we're going to provide lots of content and links and whatnot. You can all find this back in the chat. With that said, it is time to get started. Let's get started to see if the chat is live down here, right? Let's see who is there. Usually we already see a bunch of people. Rutger from the Netherlands, Dave from Scotland. Anyone else? Draw into on the chat. Where you're from, where you're dialing in from. I saw Dave from, was it Dave? Or, who do we have? Type in the chat. Where are you from? And type in what your role is. Are you in CS? Are you in account management? Are you in sales? Are you in management? Type in, I am Jocko and I am management and I'm dialing in from San Jose today. So that's how I type it in. UK Customer Experience Director, thank you. Kim, great to see you. From Carolina, Bridget. Zach, VP of CS in Nashville Airport. Oh, good. Well, don't unmute then. Have you ever noticed how loud those airport announcers come through when somebody's on? It's on amplification. It's like Zoom picked that up and amplified it. Although they're doing better and better. Kendra from Atlantic, great. Bernardo from Sao Paulo, great to have you. Will, growth strategy from Rhode Island. Perfect. So we get a good idea of people who are here. Welcome everyone. We want to take you today. This is going to be a little bit of a challenging session. You know, like I'm shaking it loose because things are happening in the market. Things are happening in the market. We need to talk about a few things. We need to have a conversation. Lots going on. And so I'm going to take you through that. You know, like I want to lead with a moment of reflection, right? And you know, like some may call this confrontation. I am used to confrontation, being Dutch. Rutger and the Netherlands will be laughing. Yes, the Dutch, we're comfortable with being confrontational. What I'm going to depict to you today is that we find ourselves in the eye of the storm. What does that mean with the eye of the storm? It means that we're in the middle of something. We're not at the end. You know, like more stuff to be happening. But what we are going to see that so far, C has been under pressure. But we're going to find that in the next swath of time, about next 3 to 6 months, CS will also going to get hit, and it's going to get hit fairly hard. I want to point you out where that is happening. I want you to know that this is a moment of transformation. This is not, yeah, like this transformation. This is an opportunity for transformation. We need to consider if staying the old trajectory is going to get us different results, and the answer to that is it won't. So as I lay out the problem, we're going to see that we need to do something different. This is a moment of that transformation. There are answers that I will give you today, but I do not have all the answers. Okay, this is a live and ongoing thing. This is not. We're not out of this. We're not out of the woods by far. Not everything has been tested and proved. So I want to let you know stuff is about to happen, and I want you to know that this is cyclical. That, you know, like whatever it is. What must go down must go up. What goes up must come down. It's the same thing. So we do not have to worry about things too much. I mean, it's going to be inconvenient for four of us. So that is where it gets started. I hope I drew your attention with that. Like, oh, shoot, things are going to get down. It is. Things are about to get down. I can only tell you the following. It is very tricky. Okay, with that said, let's go. This is about May of 2017. I'm giving this talk, and the talk is called The Art of Making Love. I know it was a provocative title. It was from an event called Flying Upside Down, so you were doing things the other way around. And in this in this particular talk, I am describing that we have been doing things wrong, and that in the years to come we need to make this switch. And what this switch is about is that primarily we see the land and expand motion in those days, as it was referred to, where the land resulted in the dollar figures, and then the expand was all about net promoter score and measuring how people love you, right? And I pointed out that if you wanted to get further, we needed to flip that. So I'll spin back and forth, and that's called the art of making love. This was focused at a sales organization, and in that sales organization, I said, your role is not to make revenue. If you're in SaaS, your role is to make the customer love you, to make the customer fall in love with you, to make the customer, love the company you represent, and so on. And then, as we would see, customer success, their role is shifting to revenue generation. Mind you, this was May 2017. We are close to 6 years later. What you're going to see that this switch has not occurred. In many cases, it has not occurred. It doesn't. Most of you on the phone, you have not seen this particular switch occur. You have not, like you may have dreamt about it or you may wanted it, but it has not happened yet. And I think that is the problem ultimately that we're dealing with here. So I'm going to take you through how we're going to solve that. But before we do, I want to take you through the market situation. Okay, what you'll see down here, what I'm sitting in front of, I'm going to pop myself out of there. Boom. What you'll see down here on the left is starting 2012, when Andreessen came out of the article, software is going to eat the world. Like we started measuring, I can't do it. There, that point there, we started measuring, and we kept tracking like how much value is being created. If you're looking at the NASDAQ, if you would have invested at the S&P 500, or if you compare that to SaaS companies. And what you started to see, you see multiple things. That blue line is how the SaaS business went up. And then behind that 61 and 115, that's how many IPOs were created. And as you'll see, the SaaS value, right, was huge. It started to grow and grow and grow. It started to go up. And that came, like following that motion, that article by Andreessen, we started to see that companies were valued on growth. And as a result, we got that. Growth at any and all cost. The entire market kept growing and growing. It didn't look at cost. Grow at any and all cost actually came to grow at any and forget the cost, right? Like forget about it. And that created this scalable growth that you see down there. This scalable growth in which revenue goes up primarily because growth is a measurement of velocity. How fast can we do it? At the end of 2021, that came torpedoing down like a brick in water. And what happened there is that the reason why is costs were becoming an issue. Although it was scalable being if I spend twice as much money, will I get more revenue? Yes, you will get more revenue, just not twice as much. Scalable meaning, hey, if I do more, do I get more? Yes, if you do more, you get more. But the cost is exponentially growing up. That exponentially growing up cost made it unsustainable. And so what you'll see down here, we went up, and at some point in time, many companies started to understand that the valuation, like as the stock market started to value these SaaS companies, for those who went public, they go like, hey, they're making a loss in that business. I'm not investing my pension fund in a loss-making business. And so that came down. That is where we are at today. And what I'm going to point to you is that, like right as we speak about it today, that, like we're going to see a few things that put us into that mode. And I'm going to point out to these three things. By the way, when you see that blue upper banner, Founders Edition, this is a very special edition. This is when I created these slides, like as Jen could see me overnight. I created these slides pretty much, like as the hours ticked on. They are all, many of them were custom created. This is one of them. I want you to think about the bigger picture down here. We see cloud as an infrastructure has matured. The ability that you can log in, get access to the cloud, move your documents from one place to another, is relatively easy, right? If every now and then I have to go back because I got to go offline and I got to go copy and paste things from one computer to another. So, it's really problematic. I go I wish the cloud was everywhere. So the cloud as an infrastructure has really well matured. SaaS as a technology, these services that sit on top of that, including the service that we're using here today, Zoom, has very well matured. The service overall becomes very reliable to the point that we measure the lack of performance rather than the presence of performance, right? I mean, like, we're bickering and moaning the one time it does fail, not we don't celebrate the 999 times it doesn't fail. So these two things have worked. What has not worked yet, and I want you to realize, because this is the bigger problem that we're having, what I want you to realize is that thing. The go-to market in many ways and shapes is still very immature. It is still led by some person who stands on a stage, tell everybody else, hey, this is the new way of doing it, and all of us, running down and following that person, creating a hype with it, and boom, we're all like, and I could be one of those speakers, right? Don't get me wrong. But it's all like that. It's all like we're like it's very immature. It's like it's not really like it's not science driven, right? Yet. That's the problem. I want you to understand that the reason of that last one is that what's causing all this. I'm going to take you to these three things: problem, solution, and action. Okay. Problem, I'm going to talk to you about the storm. Solution, I'm going to give you the idea about how we're going to solve this. And action, I'm going to talk three things about it. Now, I am going to ask you, not right now, I'm going to ask you a question to answer by the time I get to this slide later on, okay? But I'm going to use the time wartime versus peacetime. And I have not been able to find an alternative to that terminology. And I'm very sensitive that we're not, if you're watching this recording or if you're watching this live right now from all of us, then you're probably, you're in a good spot. And, folks in the war, in places in the world, obviously in the Ukraine, are facing wartime. I hope that you will allow me for a brief moment to use that analogy. And then at the end, when we come to this slide down here, I need you to help me find alternative words for that, okay? Because I've been searching for crisis. Crisis is not it. Okay, so wartime versus peacetime. By the end of this session, I need an alternative for that. Now, what I'm going to describe down here is that over the past 3 months, about 90 days, I've been speaking to hundreds of founders at PE firms. I speak almost every week, to about 50 to 100 or so. Sometimes it's large, 250. Sometimes it's interactive. It's like simul-chess. I'm playing like 20 people at the same time. And these are companies big and small. I'm talking about CEOs of companies like they're in the top 10 SaaS companies, where I'm stepping in the room to help them with, to like rooms full of like companies in the scale-up mode, 20 to 100, and startup mode lower. Everybody is feeling that we're currently entering a wartime scenario. And again, with apologies for the reference. Wartime scenario, and that no longer peacetime solutions are applicable. That's the problem we're going to talk about today. It is because we find ourselves in an eye of the storm. Many of you, January and February are proving to be a relatively calm time in it's a very tumultuous time. We put a very tumultuous 2022 together. We're relatively calm, and if you think it ain't calm yet, I'm about to warn you, it is going to get a little more hectic. First, the number one thing that we hear everybody talk about: do more with less, or do more of the same. Give me a +1, or write it down. Do you currently have in a situation that your people, your organization, your bosses are asking you to do more with less? If that is the case, +1 in the chat. Let's see if this is the case. Okay. Folks, this is the number one thing we're hearing everywhere. People are being tasked to do more with less, and some in CS have not seen this. Now, why is this going for do more with less? It can be either do more with lesser people, right? Or do more with the same people. But also what we're seeing is that there's a persistent demand for growth. The growth demand is not going down. It's not like we're saying is, hey, we take a gap year. I'm going to go to Indonesia and live on Bali for a couple of months. This is fantastic. That's not happening. Furthermore, the profitability is added. So we're seeing cost cutting everywhere, whether your tools are being cut, people are being cut, and so on. And while the market, let's look around and let's be honest. The market employer-wise is doing very well, but we are still seeing here in the SaaS industry a couple of issues. Second, the funding is drying up. Time is of the essence. The runway is shortening. For many companies that have raised, like dozens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of funding starting 2019, 2020-ish, they are hitting, like a valuation they no longer can sustain. And so very undesirable actions are about to take place. This is expected to become at a frenzy right around May, June. This is going to be in a frenzy. The Wall Street Journal just 2 days ago reported this. Venture raising hits 9-year low. Recommend that article, if you can, to take a closer look at what this article is about, to read up on it. You can get a free subscription. It's one of those annoying things that you got to sign your email and you get one read and that's it. One read! But, read the article if you can. It's a fantastic article. This venture funding is drying up, causing this run rate to come down, because if I can't grow and my growth is coming down, my people are not, the problem with how fast the growth is declining, my cost of my people are not declining fast enough in alignment with that. It is going too slow. So the growth is coming down gradually down and it's keep coming down, while my cost of people, there's not enough variable cost in people. I mean, I have to pay salaries. So as an organization, my acquisition cost is automatically going up because my growth is coming down. My cost is slightly going down. That means my runway is shortening and this thing is coming at us at full pace. Then what we are seeing is people are being asked to work harder. And, in many cases, that is because people have a misunderstanding what is activity and productivity. And we see a lot of people in the world are in the enterprise space are linked to working harder, and working harder is not necessarily the answer here. But many founders are, look at their organization and go why are they not listening to me? Why are the people not doing what I'm asking them to do? And so, they feel like there's a disconnect with what's going on in the boardroom and what's going on on the front lines. And this often gets worded through working harder. What you're going to see, and I'm going to bring up a conversation later on, they are, the big question coming up is the RKOs that are scheduled for the remainder of the year. Should we continue those RKOs? Or, if we can save 2 people, for, because the cost easily is $500,000 for an RKO, what, and so on and so forth. What, or should I actually keep the RKO because the morale is more important, right? Should I, teach people how to do the job, or should I give them coaching, right? And then lastly is so many tools. We're going to see that all these tools that we've been working with, and we have many tools. You may think, Jocko, we're only using 2 to 3 tools. No, you're not. There's so many plugins. There's so many things going on. And so people are being asked harder and in many cases that results in layoffs. Look at what we see down here. This is a layoff chart of, I printed it out yesterday. So this is from yesterday. And what you'll see here, I put this in comparison to what happened over the past years with COVID, right? And you'll see down here at COVID, you'll see how high that is, and you'll see how high that was. But if you compare it to what we are currently going on, now I want to point out to you. Let me see if I can get that black chromo key. No, this gets worse. Okay, I love my daylight in my eyes. It makes my eyes blue. Okay, and so what I want to point out to you is that many of the SaaS companies flourished by selling to other SaaS companies. And so SaaS often has created a bubble around itself. And why is that? That bubble comes from us selling to us. And by selling to each other, we have created and hyped up this market. It's often like a closed caption market. And so when these tech layoffs occur, these not only mean tech layoffs, these also mean fewer subscriptions. These also mean churn of revenue. These also means downgrading of packages and so on. And at Winning by Design, for example, the other day I asked our head of IT how many Zoom licenses we have. We have 141 Zoom licenses. We have 112 people in the company. Why do we have 141 Zoom licenses, right? And so you'll see, and that was already even before we companies started to reduce. I mean, they often have overbought things, right? And that is what we're going to see next. We're going to see this churn happening next. This churn, because fewer people means fewer SaaS licenses. Since we are very feeding a world, we're going to see that there's more for less to go around. There's COVID surplus. We see companies having bought during COVID and they bought too much. The other thing that we're seeing, customers want more for less. They want extra services. They want the upgrade package for the same price. They want more seats. They want free seats. They want So we see customers also asking for more than less, which increases the cost, increases all these issues, and so on and so forth. And what we're seeing is that the price to value is starting to drop. Yeah, and I pointed it always out as an experience, like post-COVID, we went to Zoom because Zoom was a fantastic, is and was at that point in time, the most premium and fantastic product. Well, we are on a Google suite here at Winning by Design, and Google has Hangouts or Microsoft has Teams. And like if you go back to 2020, those solutions were not fully industrial grade ready yet, but today they are. And so today we at Winning by Design have to make a decision. Are we ready to pay both for Google Suite with its Hangouts offering, or Google Meet offering, or are we going to pay separately, continue to pay separately for Zoom because of the privilege and the improved version of Zoom, the function of Zoom, right? And then on top of that, we still have Gong, which Gong we're going to keep forever and ever, but Gong is fantastic, which we analyze and record our calls with. So we got like all these tools. That is what I mean. Is like price to value. Everything is collapsing on top of each other. This thing, we're in the middle of this. We're not done yet. This is what I pointed out down here. That thing, those delays, those services are 60 to 90 days delayed. So if you think about it, we're really in this part of these seats having churned. We're still expecting these last 2 quarters to churn and hit us. This is the reason why I'm saying we're in the middle of the storm. We're in the eye of the storm. We see a change in this world, in this new world that we're currently experiencing. We are seeing significant changes occur. These changes are, we see a change in user behavior. Customers act differently. We see a change in success metrics. We're going to talk about in a second in NRR and what that means. The NRR by itself is not hugely different, but the perspective on that is different. We're seeing altered decision-making processes. In your renewals expansions, we now see that the CFO is more and more getting involved, bringing up a spreadsheet of multiple SaaS services and asking the vendors, the partners, which ones of these can I switch off because we buy your service? Which one of these services can I switch off because I buy yours? And so what you'll see here is that, like this altered decision making with the CFO in the room and playing a more dominant role or a more dramatic role, as I've worded it the other time. And I'll come back to you on that on some of the questions coming up in the chat, Ross. And I'm going to point out that customer success is becoming a revenue role. Like I brought up earlier in that early chart where I said, like, hey, these things need to change, otherwise it won't happen. I can tell you today that this is what we are expecting this to be a new world. I do not think that 5 years from now, EBRs, onboarding, health reports, NPS scores are gonna dominate what is happening in customer success. If that is the case, then I believe we as an industry have failed. And believe me, I understand that the entire CS market, the tool vendors, the talking heads on stages, the thought leaders, I believe that we all failed you. We all failed you to not get you across that hump quick enough. And we're gonna experience this over the next month. Now, look. Winning by Design was doing absolutely fantastic up to about the middle of last year, and then we too got in trouble. Consulting services are the first one to get cut, people. So we too had to go in the transformation. And I looked at it and I said, like, look, this transformation is a fantastic opportunity. It is making us do what we normally and naturally would not have done. So this moment that we're at, this eye of the storm, there's a sweet spot in there. And that sweet spot is we have to decide, are we going to continue? Are we going to continue to talk about EBRs and whatever popsicle moments we've spoken about? Delight is what Kane said. Like, folks, that's not what the future is about. It's not like delight and customer. Our Winning by Design's popsicle moment is a way to gather our resources and to think about it. That's it. But it's not going to be the solution to this. Okay, that is the problem that we've just depicted. I'm going to talk to you about the solution. Okay, so far, via the chat line, I'm looking. Am I hitting nerves? Am I doing good or am I missing something? Talk to me, people. Give me an idea on how this is coming across. Thanks, Rutger. We appreciate it. Okay. To thrive or survive. Yeah, Doris, we're going to come back to that. Thrive versus survive, we tried. We worked it. It just didn't stick for whatever reason. Doing great as always. Okay, this resonates. Thank you. I got a good reality check here. Let's get ready on the solution, okay? Let's look, it is what it is, the situation. None of us can change it overnight. It is what it is, but we can, there is a solution. What about SaaS businesses that don't sell into SaaS? That is correct. There are right now exceptions in the market. First of all, if you work for a SaaS company that sells security software, you're probably you're laughing your butt off. Like like if you're anti-Russian attack software, fantastic. You'll probably be having the blast of your time, right? So I'm sure that companies like Splunk and others that thrive in that market are experiencing different issues, right? Also, as Zach points out, if you're not selling into the SaaS service, you also see this. Now, we anticipate that the non-SaaS markets will get hit post the summer of 2023. So we're going to see that some of this will trickle down. Now, there's always isolated markets. That is fantastic. Like we have helped Keep Trucking, who sold a SaaS service to trucking companies, right? That was a very isolated market over the past, and with COVID, that we saw that business only go up. So there's also always isolated markets. How do we get out of it? I'm going to depict this as follows. I'm going to talk about the solution. I'm going to talk about it in 4 different steps, right? How do we get out of this? And then I'm going to talk about the operating model, which you have seen as I'm going to point at, make it available to all of you. Transformation, coaching culture. Let's start with that. I want you to take a look at this. What goes in the box and what comes out of this box, okay? We're going to play a game. This game is what, like historically, I'm an engineer. And, sometimes I show you the advanced microcomputer systems that I designed from scratch and stuff like that, but that is from me being an engineer in my late teens, early 20s. What I'm going to do is that when you're designing something, you often look at it as what we call a black box operation. You goes like, hey, what goes in, what goes out? It simplifies everything to that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to think and help me out here. What comes out of the box? So I'm gonna take pick anything. I'm going to take monthly recurring revenue. Is that in the box? Does it go into the box or does it come out of the box? Help me out. Where does revenue, does it sit inside the box? Does it go into the box or it comes out? Comes out of the box. Comes out. Okay, so boom. Okay, so the game. Okay, so that one. Okay, product. Does that go into the box? Is it in the box? Or does it go out of the box? Where does product fit? Product goes in the box. There we go. In the box. Okay, let's put it in the box for now. Let's see what happens there. Okay. An account manager. Does it sit in the box or does it go in the box? Doesn't come out of the box. That would be odd. So does it go into the box or does it sit inside the box? Okay, and so it goes into the box. There we go. And if I keep doing this, right, cost, like customer success goes into the box, net promoter score comes outside of the box. Customers, do they come in the box? Are they inside of the box or they go outside of the box? Let's put that down here, right? Engineers, okay, I engineer here. Growth comes out of the box. Net revenue retention goes outside of the box. Usage. Yeah, let's put it outside of the box, right? And so cost, data measurement goes outside of the box. And so what you're going to see, cost, I'll keep that. You're going to see, you're going to give these 2 categories left, customers and impact. The question now is, what goes into the box and not? And what you're going to find is that essentially these customers and this impact goes into the box. And it is the product. If I leave the product here, that's kind of like, it's quite fine for me to keep it in there. I could argue it on the list. But something like this occurs, okay? What is in the box is us helping impact customers. And if we do that, then this comes out of it. If we help our customers with our product to achieve impact, monthly recurring revenue is the outcome. As a result, net dollar retention is the outcome. As a result, we're going to get a great score. As a result, we're going to get usage, which is going to give us more revenue and higher retention. As a result, we're going to grow. As a result, the data looks better. And as a result, we got to pay more and so on and so forth. All on the right is outside of the box. What I want to point out to you is that in many cases, we don't think like that. We behave like this. We behave that customers go into the box and the goal of that box is revenue. That's the wrong thing. That's the wrong mindset. That is the mindset we have been on. This is the mindset that we got to get on. The mindset is customers are in the box. Product is, we deliver a great product, help customers achieve impact with it. And then whatever we want, that comes outside of the box. We can measure it. We can do whatever we can celebrate it. We can comp against it, dude. We can get paid in $100 bills and throw it on the bed and create a great Instagram video out of it, right? Like, do it all. But it comes out of the box. It doesn't go in the box. What goes in that box is the ultimate focus that our role as SaaS companies is to help our customers achieve impact with our products. We put the effort in from the CS, from sales, from account managers, from everything, and then we get the rewards. It's as simple as that. There is no like two qualms about it. They're like, well, no, folks. When you buy an Uber ride, you want to get delivered at the spot. And if you're not getting delivered at the spot, you get delivered like 50 miles away. But the Uber guy was great, and he didn't speak to you, and the radio was on, and the temperature was fantastic. This is not what you paid for. You paid for getting delivered at the right spot, right? Everything else was flair. Remember, what impact are you driving for the customer? This has created an incredible, this mismatch has created a problem because we didn't look at that. We didn't look at the impact. We looked primarily as the following. Now, what you'll see here is the winning by design bow tie model. The blue part is a funnel twisted on its side, and the right part is the bow tie that extends to the customer journey. I'm just catching up for some folks who may be new to the winning by design concept. This is the bow tie. This bow tie covers the entire customer journey. And the importance of this is that most organizations play only on that pink part, have a subpar of the data available and reporting on it. And as a result, do not understand the complete customer journey. And as a result, always will see CS as a cost center and see sales as a revenue center. And as I pointed out to you in 2017, CS is not a cost center. CS is a revenue center. And if in the right side of the boat, I call CS right now customer success. But that entire pink part is all about revenue generation and not cost. And so this whole thing down here at the top that we have created, this is a mismatch. This is not how we should be looking at it. This is where revenue sits. Now, I don't want to take the revenue away from the blue because then there's a bunch of comp plans. We still need people to be very motivated to close deals. I'm not trying to come down on sales and say they don't get it. Fantastic. Everybody excited. No, sales. It is both of us generating revenue down here. But the revenue is an outcome, right? It is an outcome. What it is an outcome of is of that impact. And so I'm going to briefly catch up to you where that comes in from. Okay, so now, where does this impact get generated? When the impact is something that the customer gets, where does it come from? Well, the impact sits there, and if you see how that's between adoption and expansion. When the customer gains adoption, they don't just adopt it by signing the paperwork on the bottom of the purchase order. Adoption means they're starting to use it. Adoption means they're starting to get the impact out of it. And then when they get an impact out of it, then they get the revenue out of it, okay? We have a brand new first principle that this entire machinery works on. This SaaS machinery works on the first principle that recurring revenue is the result of recurring impact. And it's simple. No recurring impact, no recurring revenue. There's no complex math needed down here. No recurring impact, no recurring revenue. This is a radical different first principle than what we've been based on over the past years, which is grow at any and all costs. It's like grow. Acquisition doesn't matter. Growth. They didn't think about impact. They only put revenue growth inside the box. And as a result, threw all the resources at it. And what they want coming out of the box was growth rate, because growth rate, what they were valued on. That model is coming to an end. That's the end of an era. It's the end of the golden age of SaaS. And it's the start of a new. We're in that transformation. If that impact is achieved down there, then you need, per my statement, recurring impact to achieve recurring revenue. In order to achieve recurring impact, I need to go to my onboarding, and the goal of onboarding is to get the customer to first impact. Now, the onboarding action comes from committing to impact, and if I go further upstream, what you'll see, hey, customers that buy impact, they don't buy. You don't go into an Uber because you want to sit in a warm car, listen to the music. What you want from that Uber ride is delivery to impact. You don't sign up for Disney just so you have the logo on your Apple TV or something like that. You sign up for it, you're on TV, and Disney has to keep delivering new impact, has to keep delivering new Star Wars episodes, and so on and so forth. Netflix has to keep creating. They have to keep delivering impact. If it gets stale, you will immediately unsubscribe. So customers buy impact. That means those where we're going to put our sales forces on need to be prioritizing on impact. That means that our SDRs and the marketing organization needs to discover which customers or prospects have impact, and we need to identify customers with impact. That creates a customer journey. That is an impact journey. That is a uniform language. Impact all across. And impact delivers revenue. I can guarantee you, if you deliver your customer recurring impact, you shall get recurring revenue. And then, obviously customers phase out at the end because they no longer can achieve the max impact, or they may no longer be a business, or they may have changed businesses. That requires that we call in an operating model. And based on that recurring revenue, where I'm going to talk to you about next is that operating model. Give you a sense of what we can do with that operating model, okay? And so I'm going to, number one, we spoke about impact. Number two, I'm going to speak about the operating model. How can we now implement that, and how can we achieve that impact? How do we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to suggest and have made available, and will in short, feel free to pop in that. We're going to make available to you the operating model. What is an operating model? Operating model means we all speak the same language. Impact. We all measure the same data. So wherever we measure, it's standardized data, it's common language, and it's a uniform methodology. The methodology is that we're all on the same thing. Now, what you're going to see, and we're going to just blow a few of these things up, and I do it manually today. What you'll see here, these are, for example, like, what are the 5 customer-centric first events? Well, understand your customer, create value in every action. Don't just send spam email, right? Educate and stay curious, help a customer achieve impact, and so on. These are some of the fundamental parts of that, right? We want to make sure that we're based on proper things. The other one down here, next part, right? These are the fundamentals. It's like, hey, 4 key elements that go across. We need to think of it as an entire journey. We need to make sure that we have a framework that we communicate with each other so we can plug in tools and other approaches. We need to make it about the customer impact, customer-centric, and so on and so forth. And we need to make sure it's event-driven. And then what we can do is we can say, like, hey, what are the actions we can take in that? Right? What are the individual actions? And that's what you'll see here. I'm going to come back and blew up this a little bit. Here are some of these actions. Hey, handoff on the impact. Create a kickoff around the impact. Develop a joint impact plan. Create first impact. Keep driving impact, right? Whether it is in response to, and so on and so forth. This is an operating model. And everything can be associated with it. Of course, you can integrate this in Salesforce. Of course, you can integrate this in HubSpot. Of course, you can integrate this with Gainsight or with other CS tools that you're using, that are out there, such as Catalyst, right? Like, of course. But what you're going to see, and I'm going to draw an arrow here, what you're going to see is a super strong focus this way. Drive revenue. The driving and the creation of ongoing revenue is going to be part of the key fundamentals that we're going to see in customer success. So yeah, of that operating model, what is the goal that we need to get, right? So how do we get out of this storm? We need to focus on customer impact. This is a transformational moment. We need to embrace this moment. We need to stop thinking that we're primarily here to drive revenue before we drive impact. Drive impact, revenue is a result. How do we do that? We use a uniform approach. We all speak the same language, and we'll use standardized data to get there. There is no surprise down here. Like I said, the GTM motion in our world is the most immature. If we were a factory that were doing $50 to $100 million, you betcha there will be an operating system in it, right? You betcha that tools cannot just be plugged in and new people can come in and establish new tools, this and that. If it's a factory, folks, at $20 to $30 million, we are a factory. Okay, what is the role of customer success in this? Where does this come from? And this is a little bit, like, look, I'm not. Who is born into sales? Like, nobody is born into sales. Like, you're not born into selling. You're not born into something. Like, you have to learn it, right? Like, and so I want to share the secret of you. I was not born in sales. I do a lot of sales work, but I was not born in sales. And I can tell you, and like, if I talk to my successes, and like, I've been very fortunate to sell to C-level all the way at AT&T and DirecTV and EchoStar, Dish, Safeway, like, you name it, European banks, like, as many of you in Brazil know, we're selling to all these top and the deals I've closed are significant and big. Whatever you find a big, I think the biggest deal is $52 million. It is the biggest deal. I did keep count. It was anyway, but do you know what it is? Selling is not selling. Selling is all about helping a customer to achieve impact. And whenever I work with some of the best who taught me, they all 100% are focused on helping a customer achieve impact. What sales really is to help your customer achieve impact. A customer hates being sold. Hate it. Most hate it with a passion unknown to humankind, right? If you could run a city on the energy of how much people hate being sold, I mean, we would have no energy problem in the world, right? But people love to buy. They love to buy. So selling is not really selling, and this whole concept of selling is wrong. And so I got a whole organization of customer success people who are afraid of selling because they believe that selling is this mad, like arm twisting kind of like approach that you need to do with customers. That's not what sales is about. It's not. It's listening. It's having empathy. It's understanding their current situation and providing them a solution that they need. And folks, who knows that better than CS? Who knows better inside any SaaS company than the CS what a customer needs, what they're willing to pay for, what the impact is they're getting out of it? It's CS. So to me, to stretch a CS organization into sales is a very small stretch. It's a very small stretch. And as we see, as I point out to you, this trend is going on. We have plenty of blueprints to help you with that, which I'll bring up in a second. That is the role of customer success. That level of transformation that we can occur. I'm going to point out to you why their transformation is happening right now. What you see down here is a formula of net dollar retention or net revenue retention. Net revenue retention is a little bit more appropriate for a global audience, right? And so what you'll see down here is the formula of net revenue retention. It says starting MRR plus expansion minus contraction, and in this case also I had limited space down here, contraction and churn I just combined. Yes, I know we can separate them into different things. I got that. I just had limited space to work with. So I grabbed them together, contraction, right? Churn is a form of contraction in this case. And so what you'll see down here, sales, the blue part, is responsible for the starting revenue. But obviously, it is what happens on the right side of the boat. In the pink side, it's the CS functions, it's the onboarding function, it's the adoption function, it's the account management function, it's all of that is responsible for the expansion and the contraction. But we don't have like I can tell you, most organizations do not speak not only does blue not speak the same language as pink, I can tell you, I should probably give this a different color, because within customer success, there's nobody who's who's fighting more, within the organization and customer success people amongst themselves, right? And we see this all the time. And so we don't even have two departments, account management, I'll give it a different color, yellow. We don't even have yellow and pink speaking with each other the same language. We sometimes don't have even people who call on adoption or who create onboarding, but do it for an SMB, for an enterprise, not speak the same. I mean, like, everybody is speaking different. We got to solve that. We are not going to get this revenue, this rapid growth revenue, if we don't achieve the impact. We're not going to achieve the impact if we don't speak the common language. The role of the customer success moving forward, will that be one of revenue generation? It will be involved, and as I'll bring up in a moment some of the views on that, it will involve, widespread revenue generation and revenue functions, navigating an organization. We today see, and this is an absolute statement that is a simple statement. We see that the generation, if you are having what we call a 3x3, three people in your organization, speaking to three people in the customer organization, if you do that, then we notice that churn is drastically less. Drastically. And so we know, hey, establish more relationships inside an account, and you get more. Now, how do you establish more relationships? How do you do that? There's approaches for that, right? And so there are things for that. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to share with you some of these like blueprints that we have prepared for you that provide us with the framework, the understanding, and how we do some of these things. And so it's gonna come up behind me. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we have. And so down here you see, for example, the onboarding playbook of the customer success operating model. What should we do in there? How should we do it? How do we hand off? Well, we should hand off on impact. We should talk about impact. What is the impact that the customer wanted? What they bought, right? And so on. Now, when we hand off, when we do a kickoff call, we probably should talk during the kickoff, like that specific action. Should we probably talk about it? Like, hey, this is the impact you wanted, right? We probably should put a plan in place that the customers can achieve that recurring impact, right? We probably should keep talking about impact, and if the customer doesn't perceive impact, I'm telling you, what you see down here in those low values, customer doesn't achieve impact, you're going to expect there's a high churn risk. And as we step to the organization, as we talk more about impact, how do we get the customer to drive impact? How do we, make sure that we review impact with them every month? Not in EBR, no, do an impact review. Now, some of that impact can be based on proactively surrendering impact. I noticed that there's more impact to be had, and some of that is responsive. You bought this, here it is, right? There could be all kinds of different impact that you have to review. We can trigger customers falling low. I don't see impact. They're not using it. They're not logging on. This impact, that's fine. But if the customer doesn't achieve impact, you need to be triggered. You need to step in. And the health scoring that we say, that's all based on impact. It's all the same. This is what we see. And as you see through, and I'm just skipping through some of these, and as Jen, is either making or has made these available, you're going to see down here how each of these activities, each of them has a particular role to play. Some of these include how to build a multi-tier organization support. Here you have from the sales. How do you go and get a 3x3 setup? How do you navigate an organization and build that? How do you have a stakeholder meeting? All these are things that, what you'll see, are things that we need to learn about. That is where we're headed. That is a transformation. And for that, we cannot do this on our own. We need people who are on this call today in order to coach. We need to make sure that you folks, there's a coaching culture that needs to require. Now, as I wrap up and in the next few minutes and open up for questions via chat. What you'll see down here is on the left side and on the right side, right? Left side is the blue. This is the selling organization. On the right side, this is the buying organization. On the left side, I have the frontline rep. That could be an SDR, that could be an AE, that could be a CSM, that could be an onboarder, that could be an AM, whatever that is, that's on the left. And in that middle, and I'll make this, let's call this CS right now for here, or AM. I'll do CS. Okay. And so what you'll see down here, if you're a CS rep doing an onboarding or a CS rep achieving adoption, you're managed on volume metrics. How many accounts you are measuring, how much revenue you're generating, these accounts are generating, and so on. That's managing on volume metrics. Why? Because most people don't actually know what to do and how to do it on the customer side, which is here down right. That CS rep needs to work with these, in this case, 3 layers. And it needs to perform actions, which are these pink points. But they don't know what actions. Okay, Jocko, help me build a 3x3. Yeah, the manager says to Jennifer, who is the CS rep, Jennifer, you need to develop a 3x3. Great, says Jennifer. How? Well, you need a blueprint for that. This is the point. You can't just say, I need it. Actually, and that needs to be coached. And so what we see, we not only see a moment of transformation, that we're moving to an impact-centric organization from a revenue-centric organization. We also see that leadership needs to change. We can't have leadership that primarily manages on volume metrics. Leadership that is needed to coach on know-how. Show me how it's done. And what you'll see when we start measuring on NRR, which is happening right now more and more, we automatically, NRR has 2 factors in it. And those 2 factors are expansion and contraction. And those are directly accounted to customer success part of the organization, which means achieving impact. This is happening right now. This is a moment of transformation. And I believe that we don't have to fear it. I believe that what's coming is fantastic. Coming up on the actions. Okay. Most of you are here right now. You have already some form of NRR. These are the things that we are recommending. By the way, allow me to, look, we too need business, right? This is normal. We have workshop and classes for all of these. We have them in forms of workshops, in forms of classes, in the forms of sprints. We got stuff for this because we did see it coming. As you saw, I saw it coming in 2017. I built an entire company around this particular moment in time that's happening. So apologize for having a solution to sell you down here, but we were ready for this. Like, we have revenue architecture class that teaches all this. What the problem is right now is urgency. And so I sit there last night, and as Jan is my witness, Jan never heard of RevCon before this. I created RevCon for you. I believe that we are in a RevCon, like DEFCON, but a RevCon scenario. Where RevCon 3 is where primarily stay and focus. The priority is low, business is running smooth. CS is customer success. It measures in NPS scores and stuff like that. It does EBRs, health scores, and onboarding. I think that there's a DEFCON 2 that many of us have entered. What we now see is we're seeing subtly that we are churning. Revenue is churning harder. We see that CS needs to be focused on impact, deliver this impact. We see that the measurement now is NRR. We need to establish an operating model. We need to start coaching some of our folks. And when we throw in RKO, it's for morale. Some of you are starting to have entered or in full DEFCON 1 mode right now. The burn rate is too high. Layoffs are being considered. Conversations are being had. Names are being mentioned. You step into a call and you just heard the name of the people that you've worked with. RKO is no longer a luxury. We're going to talk about morale. RKO is now pure training, how to sell. CS is all about sell. And we're looking at productivity. Some of you are in DEFCON 1. Some of you are in RevCon 2. And some of you are RevCon 3. Where you at makes the moment of action that you need to consider. That was my talk for today. And like I said at the beginning, it's not the easiest one because I believe that things are happening in the market that I need to update you on. So with that said, I'm going to open it up for questions. Again, I'm looking for an alternative for wartime and peacetime because like I say, this is how many of the executives are talking about it, saying like, hey, peacetime solutions no longer applying. I don't have time for a playbook. I don't have time for 3 months and 9. I need what can you do, Jocko and Winning by Design, for me in the next 30 days? We call them impact sprints these days. We're rolling out like quick impact sprints that how can we teach somebody something quick? But what we see is that this is what is being asked for. Okay. How does impact CSM's comp plans? I'm telling you this, Tara. I'm so blind. I need to put glasses on. Tara, I say the following. Do not mess with comp plans. Anything comp plans, anything you touch on comp plans, let the comp plan be as is. If it's a revenue focus, keep it a revenue focus. I've now worked in sales for 30 years, and for 30 years I've been told that comp plans make all the difference. They're not. They're not. They're not. Okay? If comp plans make such a difference, we would have 80% of the comped plant people hit quota. If comp plan, there's just such motivation. It only drives a motivation for the first cycle, for the first 30, 60, 90 days. And then, suddenly you get adverse impacts of a comp plan. So whatever it is, don't worry about it. It's good. Like, let it be. Like, let it go. Question, compete versus collaborate. Dave, like as I go on to the next questions, please elaborate on what compete versus collaborate. And then, thank you, Alex, for the thing. Question, you mentioned that we've been in this golden SaaS time. How do you name this next phase? I have no idea. Come up with a fantastic name, okay? I do know that the following. I want you to think, and this is for David B. David, I want you to understand the following. SaaS came into the market late 1998, and it was a replacement. There's all kinds of reasons why that was, like lots. Most of the engineers in 1998, most of the engineers didn't engineer product, they were in the QA cycle. Why? Because you had so many product permutations that all the top engineer worked 9 months of the year on QAing product, testing the product, and only 3 months on engineering the product. For those of you who have as little hair as I have or as many wrinkles as I have, know that to be true. In 2003, really, SaaS came on the scene, which was developed post 1998. It came on the scene during the post-internet bubble burst. This is where SaaS came onto the scene, and it started not even in SMB. We think that SaaS started in SMB. It did not start in SMB. It started in VSB, which stands for very small business. Then in 2008, it entered SMB. Why did it make a gigantic progression, SaaS? It made a gigantic progression because the housing market collapsed. Right? And in 2012, as Mark made that statement, we saw that entire thing started to bubble up. Now, 2017, 18, and 19, we all started to realize that this machinery could not go and keep going, so we started to put the brakes on it. But then came 2020, pandemic, and everybody was like giddy for buying SaaS products, and so more oil was thrown in the fire, and therefore the entire machinery came collapsing down. The paper I wrote on it, this is fully described in that paper that Jennifer shared with you. It's the In the Eye of the Storm, and I think it has 250,000 views at this point in time. But it's like a highly detailed what takes you through all this. What's the core of this message? SaaS was born during a crisis, became adolescent during a crisis, became mature during a crisis. So whatever we're going through right now, SaaS was designed for these moments. It was designed for this. It will not only survive, it will thrive through this. So get ready. So SaaS is not going anywhere. So this may be the end of a golden era, the era where we just whatever we do, we get more revenue out of it, and it now becomes a more impact area where we need to make sure that we deliver customer value and impact to the customer in return for that. In your opinion, has RevCon already arrived in the big executive seat? I can tell you yes. The most honest answer I can tell you right now is I'm doing nothing but RevCon 1 series with not with one founders, with groups of founders. And when these founders are starting to talk with each other and the CEOs when they connect with each other, it's the five most common questions that they have, they're not all related to this, some of them do. The 5 most common questions that they have are this. Number 1 most common question, can my seller start to prospect? Everybody wants that. Number 2 most common question, my deals keep pushing out, how do I bring them back in? CFOs are getting involved in it. Number 3 questions, how do I get to navigate an organization? Because my sellers are and CS people and account managers are not used to the CFO. Number 4 most common question that we're having, frontline manager training. My managers cannot get the job done. And number 5 is, how do I get my CS organization to sell? Those are the 5. And they're very in priority. The first 1 and 2 are really, or the first 1 is high number 1. Those are the 5 common questions. It has fully entered the RevCon suite. Okay, with that said, this was the session, like not as positive as I want you. I want you to feel this realistic and go back to that quote that I had all the way up front when Coach K said, confrontation simply meeting the truth head on. With that said, I hope that we have given you the tools. We are ready and stand idle and available to help you when needed. But in the meantime, I hope that this session is meaningful and valuable to you, and it helps you with a sense of reality of the situation we're in and the market that we're entering. With that said, thank you all for attending today, and see you on the next Winning by Design CS session. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a fantastic day.